like I said, I had no expectations. I walked into this not knowing any. I knew the vampire aspect and I knew the twins. That was about it, right? But from the start, it has my attention. And I think what I can appreciate is like, I love any movie where I can walk away from it and now I want to like look up all the like different, I have my own interpretations, but I want to know all the other interpretations, the symbolism, the motifs, and all that.
Definitely a lot of symbolism in the film. You feel me? From everything from music, and you can even like center your focus in on like the guitar element of it, right? But then you can also start thinking about on an overarching level some of the things that might have to do with the ways that vampires can exist in like our society, as far as just the way that certain pieces and certain aspects of like culture, certain aspects of talent levels, and certain cultures get stripped away from them or get commodified in different ways. There's a lot. It's interesting.
What I appreciated the most though was that this movie is genre bending. Like, it has elements.
It's like
especially the first half. You got it's historical. Like there's a historical background, a set piece, right? Yeah. And then you got comedic aspects of it.
It's funny. There's funny parts.
There's definitely, and then it just turned in the second half. It just is a horror film at that point. Yeah, you know what I mean. But it's also a musical. Like it has musical aspects to it.
That's the part that I think it sets it apart from other movies in similar vein. Because if you're really looking at it, this is From Dusk Till Dawn.
I've not watched Dusk Till Dawn.
So it's about two brothers that just robbed a casino, and then they're trying to make it somewhere else, and they're trying to get to the next place. But then they end up going into like a bar, or like a tavern or some shit, and then it becomes like, ruled by the undead, because now they're trying to live from dusk, survive from dusk until dawn to avoid like these vampires.
So I seen a Ryan Coogler interview where he said like he wanted to make a movie. He likes movies where it's like everything happened in one day.
Yeah.
So he wanted
just like that movie.
Okay.
I didn't the beginning of that movie is like exposition. They're like, like trying to learn more about the characters and about the scenery and and then they get to this thing and it's like, oh shit, vampires.
But don't you think they did the exposition well, like introducing each of the characters, the preacher's son?
I think that it was very well done, and I think that it was intricate as well, which is good. All the characters, they either had like a relation to each other. There are even characters that we learned about that weren't featured in the film that played a role in the way that the film carried on, which was dope.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's important. I think that on like a character building level and on an exposition level, it's better than From Dusk Till Dawn, for sure. Story-wise, though, it's very similar.
Maybe. But I can't imagine, though, because it doesn't have, I can't imagine it has the racial components to it.
Not the same way. It doesn't. That's true.
Exactly.
I think that the racial component...
And the music, too. We can
I mean, you're not going to get a better score than this.
Yeah.
Like, Ludwig's one of them ones. He's up there. I was saying, after I seen the movie, I put that out on Instagram Story immediately. I was like, nigga, if you're going to talk about your fucking, your Hans Zimmer's, if you're going to bring up, what's bro's name? Damn, why do I always forget his name? I got to do a better job with this. You know what I'm saying? The nigga that made, that's crazy. He made the Casper movies.
Oh, I don't know. But Hans Zimmer's definitely that name.
But he made
a go-to name.
Yeah. He made mad of him. He was dope. You know what I mean? And then like the composer from Simpsons, Star Wars. I always forget his name too. I don't know. But he's up there.
Yeah.
He's up there with all of them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Now. Especially if you consider like his music like career as well, outside of the
For
film.
sure. Yeah.
He's up there. He made the Mandalorian score. He's nice.
No, he is.
Bullshit.
And one thing, my initial thing when I was watching is like, all right, we got Michael B. Jordan playing why can't we just call him Michael Jordan? You feel me? Why can't?
That's crazy.
But
bro.
we got Michael B. playing twins. The first thing I'm gonna notice is like, all right, how is he gonna do with separating their little quirks? You know what I mean? Like there's a scene, like in one of the opening scenes, he's smoking a cigar, or he's probably smoking weed, I think, with his brother. I'm trying to notice even intricate things of like, is he gonna do it differently with each brother? How is he gonna do with separating them so I don't feel like I'm just watching Michael B. Jordan first come two times.
When they're outside of the shop that they're about to buy.
Exactly. Yeah. But I'm actually watching two different characters. Yeah. You know what I mean? I think they did a pretty good job.
He's a great actor.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And I think he did a good job of differentiating the characters based on their traits and their attributes and the way that they move and the way that they navigate through the world as well, which I think in some part is like story related, but he does a good job of selling it still. Mm-hmm. Still the same nigga playing two characters. Though.
Smoke and Stack, you think they're very much the same character?
No. It's just very distracting when they're on screen together or when they're interacting. That scene at the end where they're fighting, that shit was bad.
What makes you think that? You think there should have been like some visual difference?
No, it's distracting because you can't, when they're fighting each other, you can't have them both on the screen at the same time.
Well,
for too long.
Well, that's why you had one of them wearing red and one wearing
for sure. So that when
blue,
when they're engaging, you can see like it's a stunt double or whatever. But I think they tried as much as they could to not have that be the case.
Mm-hmm.
Still was distracting.
I didn't find so. You know what's the most is a distracting part to me?
The reason why it's distracting is because of the camera cuts. It's not distracting because of the action. The action is smooth, but there's a lot of cuts.
When you talk about the action, the blood was definitely the most like.
Well, that's from Dusk Till Dawn. That's the inspiration.
No, the blood was
Robert Rodriguez.
Bad, bro.
Yeah, it's Robert Rodriguez and Quentin Tarantino that I'm assuming that the inspiration is from. It's gory. It's supposed to be like that.
It's supposed
to.
Like
Grindhouse.
It just didn't look real. It looked like liquidy and like.
Yeah, that's how I'll be looking at all the Quentin Tarantino films. It'd be blood. Have you seen Kill Bill?
Do you think that's intentional?
I thought it was intentional.
Because it kind of took me out of the moment a little bit to be like, all right.
It's supposed to be campy. It's like,
it just looks ketchup-y and
it's
shit.
also like horror movie. You feel me? Like horror movie blood is not supposed to look realistic. It's supposed to be like over the top. Like it's like.
If that was the intention, so be it.
I thought it looked fine. That to me, I understand that though, because it does like take away from the element of like realism. But at the same time, it's a movie about vampires.
Sure. So, all right, where do you want to start with this? Like, do you want to talk about the racial undertones of it, or do you want to talk about the music aspect? Because there's that one scene where the preacher's son is playing.
I didn't like that either.
And I guess the messaging was like the music is so powerful.
Yeah, well, the music from this individual.
Right,
from the son.
It's so powerful.
It's so potent even. It's like, it's so pure that it's able to, like they said in the beginning of the movie,
it could bring you back in time.
It brings you from back, brings you to the future,
yes.
But it also attracts like evil. You know what I mean? Because evil is attracted to something that's so like connecting in that way.
Worldly, maybe, in a way.
Yeah, and I thought that was cool. I loved the idea of that scene.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like the music though. I didn't like that. It started sounding a little jumbled. It was like, what the fuck am I listening to?
Because you had the girls twerking and stuff. But I think how they did it was perfect because I was afraid, because again, I don't know what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
I was afraid these people are going to stay in the movie.
Oh,
I'm like,
no.
that would have ruined it for me.
Yeah, that would have been
bad. Absolutely. Because you got the black guy comes with the electric guitar and shit like that.
That was cool.
And then you got, the modern day girls twerking and shit. And then you got dudes looking like Run DMC.
They was rapping, they was breakdancing and beatboxing.
And as long as they kept it contained, I don't think it doesn't make me feel like this is supposed to be real. It's just supposed to be a feeling. This is how it made you feel. It's like when you listen to music, it can transport you exactly to where you were when you first listened to it. Now, the future aspect of it, that's a little interesting. I don't know.
I think it's the spiritual element of it, right? Is that like, you are someone's ancestor, even though it hasn't happened yet. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's like the point of it, is that like there's a connectivity between like the lineage of individuals. And there's also a connectivity between the lineage of the music that we listen to.
To recognize that the music that you're making right now,
someone is listening to, it's going to influence someone in the future. And it's also influenced from someone from the past. You know what I'm saying?
That's beautiful.
But it's the blues, right? Yeah. Like the blues influence rock and roll. And you got a black, like, you know what I mean? But it's also inspired by like a lot of the Negro spirituals and kind of like translating that into like modern, what there was modern day kind of like spirituals.
So I thought that was an amazing scene. You see the barn like catching on fire. And
that shit was tough.
Yeah.
Music, it sounded a little jumbled though to me at the end.
Well, because now you got to combine all the different eras and stuff like that. But that's what
it was great.
Ultimately attracts these vampires.
Facts. That's what attracts them to it.
And earlier, Remick, he comes through. He like comes out of nowhere. Yo, what'd you think about the indigenous people coming to the white folks? Huh?
I thought it was useless.
You think so?
I thought it served no. I think the only purpose that I could justify it serving is that as much as racism is going to be like the hill that they're willing to die on, they will die on it. It will also be their undoing. That's the only justification that I found for it. I know it takes place in Mississippi. You know what I mean? I know that there's a lot of indigenous people of that land. Listen, I'm derivative of some of them, so I know how it goes. You know what I'm saying? At the same time, if they weren't going to come back in the film at any point, I think that was just like some shit to just have them in the movie.
I'd like to think that each race that was featured in the movie was some level of social commentary of
how so?
That race's participation or role in the dynamics, right?
Okay, but how so?
With the indigenous people, it's like they show up, they're there, they're here, like they're aware of the vampires, and they come into these people's house like, hey, have you seen any vampires? They see it go dark, they're like, let's get out of here. You know what I mean? Maybe the idea is like, we'll help, but we're not gonna do it at the expense of us, maybe, or maybe. Because maybe that actually
that's a reach, low key.
Maybe
that's a reach.
Okay, what about the fact that indigenous people very sparse? population
For sure.
right now. That's kind of the point. They're not here to help us right now because like whatever happens to them happened to them.
I guess, but I don't think that applies here though.
You think
because
I'm
they showed
looking
up
too deep into it?
I was actually talking to Jasmine about this a little bit. We were going back and forth about it because she thought it was dope, and I was just like, I don't think that it's bad. I just also don't think that
I just think it's mad funny that they were like, yeah,
and then they just
sun's going down, we're out of here.
And then they just never came back. I just don't think that you needed that, especially because when what's his name? Remick, yeah. When he comes, you know he's a vampire. He asks for permission before he comes inside the house. He's also on fire on the sun. We know that he's a vampire when we see him for the first time.
Speaking of which, I love that. I thought that was gonna be mad fucking corny that you're gonna use the like stereotypical vampire shit. But I love that they follow the rules of the vampire lore versus like what Twilight has done with vampires, making them shine in the light and shit. And
I like the traditional lore. I think the traditional lore is like the best because there's weaknesses and there's also limitations.
Yeah, there's
I think
rules,
that's how it should be when you're working with spirits. I think that's how it needs to be. Because like they're not indomitable forces. You can stop them with the possessions and the powers of the world still. But you gotta follow the rules, and you also have to understand how the rules work. And that's where a lot of people get tripped
Which makes it insane that like we even got into the situation because as long as y'all just like chilled in the barn the whole fucking time, y'all would have been cool.
That I didn't like either.
Why is that?
That's not how vampires act. I hate when like the vampires aren't aggressive. I seen this nigga kill 2 people in cold blood earlier, and also shout out to
But they want to be
Kirk.
convincing though. They want to lure you into this.
I get it, but that's not the only way vampires operate. Some like a lot of times vampires, they're trying to convince you because they're devil spawns. You feel me? That are like here. The whole purpose of them is that they're the most cunning of all the spirits because they take over your loved ones and they convince you that they're still them when they're not anymore. They're just not. Right, quote unquote. Because I guess this movie kind of like takes a spin on that. Why didn't they just burn the barn down?
The vampires?
Yeah. I just didn't get it. They're just waiting for them to come outside. They're singing a song. They got a whole song and dance where they're just like, what the fuck? What are they doing?
But
worst vampires ever. What the fuck?
Maybe if you look at it logically like that, but I think there's a commentary that Coogler is trying to make as well that like, in a way, like by the end of the movie, when all your loved ones have been turned into vampires, it kind of seems like a good deal.
Yeah, it does.
This doesn't seem like a straight like, this is clearly the better option to like fight the vampires. There's an allure to like wanting to join them and they seem like they're happy. They seem like they're on the same page. There's the allure of like living on forever.
Yeah.
What did you take away from that as like the actual real life meaning of what being a vampire looks like? What does adopting somebody else's culture?
You could think about it from like a business perspective when it comes to music and the music industry, right? Is that a lot of times, like what we hold sacred as far as our culture, we talked about last week too, with like hip hop specifically, right? Is like it gets commodified because we let other audiences in because we're attracted to like the offers that they can give us. We're attracted to the money, we're attracted to the fame, the celebrity, without realizing that what we're doing is watering down pieces of our culture or even gifting it to someone else for them to take advantage of. And they will take advantage of it, right? In the movie, we saw it even with Smoke and Stack, right? Like there was a point where like Stack is like coming in and being like, he's already in there and he's like, yo, I'm inside of here. Like I'm already in, but they have to get him out because he's a vampire. He doesn't even want to remove him. She literally tells him his girl, right? Smoke's girl tells him, you got to get his body outside. He's like, nah, this is my brother. He's holding him. He doesn't want to let it go. You feel me? It's almost like he's so attached to like what it was that he doesn't want to let it go because of what it will become. You know what I mean? He's like, even though he's willing to accept those consequences, she's telling him like, this is what it is. And he's like,
and you're gonna put all of us in danger.
You feel me? And he just can't do it. I think that's a message in and of itself. Again, thinking about the way that we commodify, the way that we have been commodified and the culture has been commodified to the point where it's like, we're still holding on to it still, rather than creating something new or rather than like moving on to the next thing and being like, you know what? You got us. It's over for that. Let's hold on to it still because we care. We care about where it came from. We care about the history of it. It's like, we don't exist without that thing we feel like. Clearly that's not true.
And there was something interesting to the fact that like they did this like this Irish jig dance, right? Once they all were
that was tough.
Once they were all vampires, or most of the people from the party were vampires, they just started dancing.
Facts.
But there was a big difference in the way that dance and the music was played out versus what we were referencing earlier with what was I keep on the Preacher's Son.
It wasn't generational. Sammy,
exactly. So there was a big difference, right? With Sammy, it's feel good. Everybody's enjoying themselves. Again, the music is so powerful that it's breaking barriers of generations, right? But with Remix, they're all circling around him.
Yeah.
So he's still like the centerpiece of
him,
all of this. They look happy, but they're really just assimilating to his culture.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So even though it's supposed to be like if you become a vampire, you're still supposed to still maintain who you are, but it seems like you're still under the control of the person who bit you.
Right.
Right.
And I think that Smoke asked that question, like maybe if we kill him, will that make a difference? They're like, nah, that's not how it works. It's like, yeah, that'll like make a difference, right? Like they'll have like a little more control, like because they don't have like someone to obey, but they're still vampires. You feel me? They're still not that person that you once knew. And that's, I think that the movie did a good job of like if for any reason you're like media literacy in the garbage, you've never seen anything with vampire content before, I think this is like, they did a good job of giving everything an explanation. Like the vampires, those two people in the house, you feel me? I don't know the character's name, but Lola Kirk and her husband, whatever, they get turned into vampires because they let him in the house because they were racist.
Yeah. They were Klan members.
They were,
like,
you could they were members of the Klan.
Yep.
And they had already had intentions to come and like kill Smoke and Stack and whoever was left of the
he was going to join the person
afterwards.
who sold the property to them.
They were going to kill them anyway. Yep. That was like their intentions, but they got turned into vampires instead because of their racism. And I think that's dope, right? Not dope, but like whatever. And that's an explanation. The Native American people, the indigenous people going after Remick was an explanation for why Remick was there. I don't think you needed it. He's a vampire. I don't think that matters.
He could have been there just because
the sun was out.
Yeah,
could have just been there. And I think it would have been stronger even if they earlier in the movie, they were what's it called? Sammy was like playing music about like the time.
Yeah.
And I think that if they had made the justification that like the music was so alluring, like in general when he was playing it, especially when he played in the car with Stack the first time, and he was like, I didn't know you could sing. Yeah. And that shit was like changing everything. And then when they got together with, I forget the old man's name, and they were playing together like outside. After
he was a great actor too. He was a great comedic relief.
No cap. The only time my audience laughed was at him. It was crazy. Really? I was like, damn, there's some funny shit going on. I don't get it. But if they had made it so that Remick had been like almost like summoned, and he was like, the music allured me like out of hiding or wherever I was to this point, I think it would have been even stronger. It would have hit that message a little stronger.
Well, maybe that's why he started in the first place. He arrived to their house. He's got to start getting his recruits and shit.
Well, that's together. Not why though. He only did that because he was running away from the Native Americans. If they made that very clear that like he was being hunted, which is fine. But then it's like those characters don't come back, so it's like why not tie it into something that we saw in the movie already? Like when Smoke was with the girl, I forget her name too. There's so many characters. There's a lot of characters.
The biracial girl.
No, when he was with his wife.
We gotta talk about the biracial girl.
She's a quadroon. Octoroon, really.
Right,
no cap.
Her great grandfather.
Her grandfather was a fourth black, or was half black, or something like that. Or something like that. I'm like, you're an Octoroon. That's crazy. But I would say that in that scene, we never.
So what woman are you talking about?
Smoke's wife. That they had the kid with, but that passed away.
Do you think that was an interesting choice of how they casted Smoke's wife? Because I think a lot of people, at least people I was around, the group I was around, when they got romantic in the beginning, they thought this woman was like Smoke's mom or something. You feel me?
She's not that old.
I don't think it's the old. I think there's a deliberate choice of how.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
How like she's not the stereotypical leading woman, right? Like you got Haley Steinfeld who does.
Yeah, sure.
That fills that role. I like that. I think that was an intentional decision by Ryan Coogler to kind of break those norms
for sure
of what you think the typical leading lady should look like.
And I think that's dope. Because that was good. That was a good choice.
That's a commentary in itself, right? Because we have to talk about the duality between those two women, right?
She didn't survive though.
She didn't survive, but she led them to salvation.
For sure.
And it kind of goes back to that.
Find success.
It goes back to the saying that like, yo, Black women are always I don't know, it's like shitted on, but like they hold us down. Sure. They're holding Black men down.
Facts.
And then there's Black men.
She also saved his life past that point too.
Exactly.
Because she gave him the joint that he had around his neck that kept him alive to protect him from the vampire still.
Yep.
And I think that's valid. I do think that
while the biracial girl, she was able to pick and choose. And I think that speaks to being biracial. It's like, you're not Black enough to be with the Black. We hear that saying all the time. You're not Black enough to be the Black people. You're too Black to be with the white people. But in a sense, you also get to pick and choose what identity you want to,
based on who
pick
you're
up.
Engaging with.
Because when she went to go sit with the vampires,
she was white.
Exactly. When she's in the barn, she's got a.
And she also she was the reason why Stack died in the first place. Or why he got turned.
All of them died.
Right.
If she stayed her ass inside.
Exactly.
It's her fault.
It was literally her fault. She wasn't even supposed to be there.
Facts.
They told her to leave many times. Yep. It's like problems because what can happen. And foreshadowing is important. I would say that there was a sex scene between whoever the actress was, right? I know her from Lovecraft Country. She was in there and a couple other things.
Talking about
and
Sammy and the older woman?
No, I'm talking about Smoke and his wife. Yes. They had a sex scene. That sex scene was useless. It was pointless. I don't think that gave anything to the story. Did not like that. The scene was cool. It just didn't add to the story.
Okay.
It was a waste of time. Low key. Like, and it's unfortunate because in that, I'm thinking that what they're doing, not what they're doing, but what she was doing was gonna summon the vampires. I was waiting because I know what the movie's about. I'm different in that way because I knew it was a vampire movie and I saw the barn. And I was like, oh, it's From Dusk Till Dawn. I've seen this script before.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly how it's gonna play out, but I know the plot. Vampires are gonna find a way, and they're gonna have to defend this place from the vampires until the sun comes up. I know that. So I'm just waiting to see why the vampires show up.
Yeah.
What brings them out? What is it that they're already taking over this town? What is it? You feel me? I don't know. And I thought that she was burning something. She had something that was like she was setting it up. Well, and she was
for
like
a living. It seems like
she's like a doctor in a sense, like herbalist. I'll say. You know what I mean? Yeah. Spiritual herbalist.
Yes.
But she lit something on fire and they didn't check on it. And I thought that was going to be something. But it didn't. It was nothing. It was just like, oh, like, you know, off screen, like she'll put it in the bag and then he'll put it back on his neck. Yeah. I'm like, it's moments like that I just wish that it like played a bigger role in the overall story because it's like, it would have been so like pointed. Like that's something for the people that be like observing the details. Not the Asian people.
That's where I wanted to get to. So we talked about the biracial. We talked about the black woman. We talked, and I think we should also talk about the white people in terms because I was thinking to myself like, damn, if you're a white person in the theater right now, you must feel mad, uncomfortable. It's like there's systematic value in being a white person in society because of just the systematic advantages granted to you when you have upper level people who look like you and they go, act in the best interest of people that look like them. That's just natural in all groups of people.
Just so happens that they enslaved people to get there to that point in the first place.
Yes, exactly. And then they bring down other groups of people at a disproportionate rate. Okay, for sure. Boom. All right. But is it fair to say there's a separation between the Klansmen? And you have to have Klansmen in that movie. If it's going to be historically accurate, you're in Mississippi during the Jim Crow era. You got to have those. But it seems like they're making a difference that like, there's a difference between the Klansmen and then the white devils of the vampires, right?
For sure.
I don't think they're trying to make the association that like white people are the devil. I don't think the vampires necessarily represented.
I think that
white people all the way.
Right? I think that there's an emphasis on the differences between them. I think that it was intentional that the vampires, even like the first three, were white.
The first ones were.
White.
Being vampires is not racial exclusive.
Right.
But started from somewhere. There was an origin.
They were white. And I think that because we saw that there was like the Klan, I think that there's a difference between like things that are like of this world and things that are not. You feel me? And I think that like the way I was looking at it was that there's like intentions, you feel me, that are more like overt that you can predict, you feel me? But there's a lot more sneaky things as well. And I think that the way that we've seen like different industries move and the way that we've seen different, like I guess you can call them things that are behind the veil. You feel me? Not like the directors of the movie, but the executives. You know what I'm saying? Not like the record producer, but the record label. You know what I mean? Like there's a difference between those two. I would look at the Klan as like the director. It's like, I'm not casting black people, or I'm going to cast you in a role that's not going to like serve you or extend your career or whatever. I'm not going to offer you the job, whatever. But then behind the scenes, like there's a push for that. You know what I'm saying? There's a reason why that's even come to be. And there's a reason why it's enabled, where it's like, we want you to be a part of our team. We want you to be involved. But we're going to make sure that you're intentionally held down at the same time. You're going to follow our rules. Same thing we were talking about with Shador.
Yeah.
Where it's like, there's like the GMs and the coaches, right? But then there's the owner. And the owners are like, they're about their money, they're whatever. There's still, but both of them are bad. Yeah. There's conflicts that happen with both, and it's gonna prevent. It's only to the negative or to the detriment of us. You know what I'm saying? So, and
this just came out. I'd have to flush this interpretation out a little bit more. Maybe I could do that with you. That before they recognized, or before Smoke's, wife or partner, love interest, before they recognized they were vampires, they initially called them something else, like hates. They called them hates, right? Or they're and a vampire is just a different variant of a hate, right? But you're still a hate if you're a vampire. Is that some type of like passing on hatefulness that like the white people started off? If they're a hate, right? If they're,
I don't think that she was saying hate. I thought she was saying haint.
Haint?
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be different. Because my interpretation was kind of be like, okay, the white people's hatred toward the black people trying to ruin their party led to black people hating themselves and other people of their own community.
Plays a role for sure.
Is that like
No,
is there something there?
I think all of it is like related in some ways. Because think about it in the context of the film, even with the way that the vampires like existed. It had to be a form of racism that got those first two white people even like to be turned into vampires.
There was racism within white people because he said the initial person who even transitioned Remick was like Catholic dude or because Remick was just some Irish kid or whatever the case is, you know what I mean? And he had to be assimilated to somebody else's culture. That's how he picked up all the scriptures and he recognized Sammy's prayer.
Yeah, and I think that it also says something about like this concept of like freedom and like what it takes to be free. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I think for Remick, like his point was that this is the only time that he's felt truly free. For me, is when like he's had like these things stripped from him. He can no longer be in the sun. He like has to feed off of others to survive and da-da-da. But he feels like more alive now than he did when he was alive. Because of like the freedoms that come with it. And like some of the other people might say the same for some of the other folks who returned that day, right? Because I think like it's weird. I think the ending was like weird. I'll say.
How so? First of all, I want to say shout out to Omar Miller. I love him. I love Omar Miller.
This nigga's.
He's a favorite of mine. But what was weird about the ending?
Back to Sammy.
He did. But this was later on. In the 90s, you could see Haley Steinfeld's character and Stack.
Shout out Buddy Guy. No cap. I love that. Love Buddy Guy.
Super influential.
Great musician.
Blues play. Yeah.
Facts fire. But it was just very interesting. Should have killed him.
Well,
vampires.
Whether you choose to kill them or not, I think the message.
No. They should have killed Buddy. They should have killed Sammy. They're vampires. What the fuck is this? Well, we got a heart now? Like, what the fuck? What are you talking about? What is going on?
You should vampires. Be stripped of all like the humanly attachments that you have.
They're vampires. You're evil.
I hear you.
Haley Steinfeld, she didn't even say nothing. She was there. Why is she around? Like, what the fuck is going on?
But maybe there's something to that. There's like that relationship that he had with his twin was so strong. That bond was so strong. It transcended the vampire, the inherent need to want to, suck on somebody. I don't know. It made for a good ending because at the end of the day,
a good ending.
When Sammy was presented at his old age, later in the future, I hope people stayed for the mid credits to at least see that, right? He was given a choice.
Yeah.
It's like, you can live on for forever. Nice. You know what I mean? And that's an alluring opportunity right there.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do it because it's like, damn, you should have bit me like 40 years ago because if I'm going to stay in this body forever, I don't want to look like God.
He's old, unfortunately. Shout out Buddy Guy. He's like, I'm not trying to be old, nigga. I'm trying to, should have been in this shit, nigga. He's like, you bought every album, so I know you knew. I know you knew I was around, nigga. Like, that's funny.
You trying to buy Invincible Mike. You should have been Thriller Mike.
Fight. That's right. That's fine. Oh no,
we still here, buddy. We still here, man.
This nigga Eves came back. He's trying to get back involved. We were basically wrapped up. We didn't. No.
No, we gotta talk about the Asian people.
Yeah, in fact, we didn't talk about the Asian people. We also didn't talk about our Asians. See, we already spoiled it. We already spoiled. So the Asians.
I'm sorry. Should have watched it.
The wife was tough.
No,
she's my favorite character.
Ruined it.
She did, but she was tough.
She literally put everybody's life in jeopardy.
But so did Smoke. And so did the white girl.
How did Smoke put?
Because he kept his brother inside.
Okay, he did. You can understand though why
almost killed Sammy.
But you can understand why Smoke kept Stack in the room. You feel me? You just seen your brother, your twin brother.
Well, you can understand her motivations too.
No, hers was irrational.
Bro, but was it irrational? They said they were going to kill her daughter, bro.
Okay, and if she walks out or she invites them in, everybody's died.
What did she do though?
She come in, motherfuckers, and then what? Strapped up.
And then what? She killed her husband right then and there, and they both burned alive. She's tough. She's tough. I don't give a fuck. That was fire though. Literally, that was tough. She said, "I'm not."
Or she could have stayed in the barn till the end of the night and then go find her daughter.
They probably would have killed her daughter though.
I believe that's
not true. But they knew where she lived. How would she know that though?
Okay.
And they're also vampires. She watched them kill mad people.
But now your daughter doesn't have parents. So would you rather have them be dead or you want her to be an orphan?
I think she would rather have her daughter be alive. She made her choice. That was tough.
And she put everybody's life at risk.
Okay, but everybody's life was already at risk. If it wasn't her, it might have been someone else. It might have been Smoke, nigga. No bullshit. It looked like he was gonna crack.
Maybe.
I'm almost, because to me,
Yo,
I feel like they was strapping
Umar
up.
would have said about Stacks
Let me tell you this.
having sex with the octoroon and jeopardizing everything.
It's really his fault. He fucked up everything.
He did.
Because Smoke told him, he was like, get her. Like, he knew. Sammy knew. Listen.
It's a lesson Shannon Sharp knows all too well.
Because what did bro tell him? What did Smoke tell Sammy?
In the snow, you even put them together.
Blizzard. No bullshit. No cap. But he told him before, when he even sent him off, he was like, yeah, like, have his back. This knucklehead doesn't look over his shoulder enough, so you got to do it for him. Mm-hmm. I feel like it's his fault that all this shit happened. I'm not saying that he's the worst character. I don't think any of them, like, I thought every character was pretty valid.
Yeah.
But I would say this. To me, when I'm looking at the grander scheme of like how the characters come into play and like what role they play in like the film, I don't know, bro. I feel like she was a good character. She was tough.
No, I think it's very appropriate to have her as a character. I think everything was supposed to be the way it's supposed to be. What do you think it says about...
Her husband was not tough.
Who?
Her husband was not tough. That nigga pussy.
Oh, the Asian?
Yeah, I don't like her husband. That nigga pussy. He's trying to get the fuck out of there. Like, what the fuck, my nigga? Like, you already know some shit going on. He's like, I'm gonna go get the car. Like, nigga, where the fuck you going?
Good luck, buddy.
Where the fuck are you going? What the, like, nigga?
Do you think there's a social commentary, though, with the Asian woman basically like, screw that,
the Asians are tough.
Where in a position where
they move different though.
Her family was going to be affected.
They move different.
Her family was going to be affected. She was willing to jeopardize the life of everybody else, disregard anybody else's choice.
Her own life too, though.
In her own life to protect her family.
Her own life too. I think that's important.
Do you think Coogler is trying to say anything about like? Is there any commentary on the Asian culture with that one, or
I don't think so. I think they all did that at some point or another. The only person that wouldn't have done it was Sammy, because the girl that he fucked with was there already. The old man,
trifling.
She was
trifling.
The old man, maybe not. And I think that Smoke's love interest, no.
She would never.
Smoke would.
Yeah.
We've already seen that he would.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess, yeah, like then the Asian girl would too. Because like the Asian woman would.
I love that scene where they have to eat the garlic. And then it's a misdirect. There's a lot of misdirection in that film, but you almost think that
that just reminded me.
Sammy's love interest was turned.
Yeah.
So that was fucked up, because then again, it's like the comedic relief in that where the guy they thought got turned, they threw him to the wolves.
That was fucked up.
That was funny as hell. That was funny.
Yeah, but what did that serve to the plot?
It's funny, but it's genre bending. Like, it's all of that. Even in a horror film, there could be some level of comedic relief. You know,
it was funny.
I like it.
And I think that was dope. I thought it was funny.
I think this movie, I'm not gonna go out of it. Like, I don't know what a 10 out of 10 really looks like. I don't know if I've ever seen a 10 out of 10 movie, but
you don't have like a favorite movie that you like?
For sure. Like, I love the Prestige. The Prestige is like the last movie I was like, I could watch this. Like, I probably have watched that movie like 2 more times immediately after I watched it the initial time. But this is a movie that I walked out.
Good movie.
I want to watch this again. I want to watch this in IMAX.
I want to see it again.
I've implored everybody I know to go watch this movie.
It's a great movie.
I even set up white people to go watch this movie. Like, like, yo,
they need to see that.
You should go watch this.
The shootout at the end of the movie was great.
I'm so glad you brought it up, because it was the most reward. Because that was definitely the most unnecessary part of the movie.
Easily. But it was fun.
But it was so rewarding. Oh.
See, shit like that, that's the type of shit that I fuck with.
Letting niggas go like, Rambo on the Klan.
Yeah, needed that.
Oh,
needed to see it.
God.
In my theater, there was like these 2 people, like one of them, I don't know, their genders were very difficult to determine. But one of them was white, one of them was black. That I know. I know a nigga when I see one, and I know a Caucasoid when I see your face.
Caucasoid.
And let me tell you that the Negro was consoling the Caucasoid. Every time anything, if someone said the N-word, they were like, oh, it's okay. It's like, nigga, if it was me, I'd have been like, looking at them like, what the fuck? And then when that happened, they left.
Yo, I'm
like, you had to leave the theater because you see people that look like you getting lit up. Nigga, how the fuck you think I feel every day, nigga?
I'm not gonna lie.
What the fuck?
I'm not gonna lie. I'd feel uncomfortable too, but good.
Good.
Sometimes you gotta feel uncomfortable. This is reality. This is historical. We're not gonna forget about shit like this.
It's not reality.
No, I'm talking about the reality of the Klan, the Jim Crow era. You can't ignore that.
Exactly. It's a character. Racism was a character in the film. You gotta be cool with it, because that's a part of the environment.
I will say though,
He lit them niggas up.
He did. He definitely
Lit the
did.
fuck
That's
out
a
of them
great way to
niggas.
go out.
He was eating bullets and shit. I was like, oh shit. You know what? That nigga did not reload that revolver one time.
Oh no,
That wasn't
realistic.
bullshit.
I thought he was gonna stay in the bar and just use his automatic weapon. He was going out there.
That's not out in the open. I'm talking about throughout the film. He had 2 pistols on him.
Yeah.
He did not reload them, and he kept shooting them the whole movie. We never see him reload it. That was crazy.
You really caught that.
I didn't like that because I was wondering because when he shot homegirl off a stack, I'm thinking, okay, he gonna reload at some point because this is not the end of the movie. He did not he kept shooting throughout the rest of that film.
He got infinite ammo.
No bullshit. He got a
ammo
glitch.
Yeah.
It's tough. But when he was shooting up them crackers, let me tell you something. I was geeked. I was on the edge of my seat. I was like, oh shit.
And although it was unnecessary, it did tie back to the original, where the guy who sold them the land in the first place.
They knew they were coming back. Because they buried the guns and they knew they had a plan.
I love that.
I thought it was fire. It was amazing.
I will say though,
great. That's the best part of the movie.
There's a privilege. There's white privilege, right?
For sure.
There's black privilege. And maybe you don't value black privilege as much as you would white privilege.
What do you mean by that?
But there's a black privilege in the fact that like black people just shit all over white people and like it's cinema.
That's just the byproduct of white privilege.
Let me tell you, man. If you went into a movie theater and the end of the movie was a white guy obliterating a whole army of black men, you'd be like, this is the most racist shit in the fucking world.
You see, that's really why they took Jonathan Majors out that position. Because that's all that was going to happen if he was still Kang the Conqueror. It was going to be mad Kangs getting lit up by mad white Avengers. On God, T'Challa's gone. You know. Where's Captain America about it? Like, what are you talking about? You know it was going to be all of them. It was going to be Thor, lighting up mad Kangs. That's why they changed it. See, you shed light on the great point.
But there's not validity to that. You know damn well there's a double standard there. And I get it.
They were trying to kill him first. That's tough.
But he wrote it in the script. Like you feel
that's not privilege, bro. It's a shame that he had to even write that. You know what I'm saying? Feel me? It's a shame that we had to watch such a glorious effect. This is tough.
Hey,
he lit them niggas up.
I will say,
he lit them crackers up.
I can understand being uncomfortable. You have to be uncomfortable. You have to.
Were you uncomfortable?
No, I was
geeked.
No, what the fuck? Bro, cinema.
I was lit.
Cinema.
I was like, nigga, film of the year.
I hope there's another hour to this,
bullshit.
bro. I really didn't
this,
want this shit to
I was
end.
like, nigga, if anything, this should have been happening. I love this. This was fire.
But I think the learning lesson is like, it's not a black and white thing. It's a
prejudice thing.
Not just, it's a colonizer slavery thing or whatever. Because if I walked in the movie where the Jewish guy was obliterating a bunch of Nazis, I'd be like, that's fucking dope.
I would fuck with it.
I probably wouldn't identify with a Jew.
No, I would fuck with it.
But I'd be like, yo, this is tough.
They get back. But them Nazis hated us too, nigga. I fuck with you. My nigga, kill him. I'll join you. You got a spare gun, bro? Let's lock in. That should have been tough.
You feel me?
Imagine if the indigenous people joined in. I'm like, oh, this shit's wavy. That would have been tough.
But I just want to interview a bunch of white people after. I want to invite a bunch of white people to watch the movie, and I want to interview them after.
Did you see yourself in any of the characters?
And anytime they try to look away, they felt uncomfortable, they try to walk, I'm gonna be like that guy from like the fucking Bird Box. Like, yo,
look. Watch it. You gotta lock them niggas up like fucking thing. What's it called? Clockwork Orange niggas. Just have them hooked up to the chair with the fucking shit holding over their eyes.
Oh,
like, like watching the whole shit on a loop though. They gotta see it on a loop.
You know how they do that to I'm not gonna tie it into that, but you know, it's like, I'm not gay no more. Let's go.
The conversion therapy, nigga. Yeah, let's watch Sinners the last 20 minutes of that movie over and over again. So you understand, nigga.
Racism be over.
No bullshit.
Next day.
Yeah, or I mean, it might be heightened. You gotta reprogram your brain. Nah, that movie was tough though.
Yeah,
I definitely think it's the best movie that came out this year.
And I don't want it to get chalked up to just being like a racial baity movie or anything. Movie. It's a good movie.
Everything from the acting, the acting is top notch. That's another thing too. Top notch.
I love the characters.
It's not easy to play those roles. I know like some people be like, oh, you just throw on a Southern accent or whatever, but it's not just about that. It's also about how like committed to the lore of the character that you are and how you can bring that to life. Because I think every single character did a great job, especially the actor who played Sammy. Fire.
Oh yeah.
I think he was the best actor in the film.
You know, this is his debut.
Yeah, because he's a musician.
Yeah.
Fire.
First of all, grown ass man.
On God.
Where you get that voice from, bro? He talking to Daddy. He You convinced me this is a child.
Well, he's supposed to be like 21. He's like young, but he was tough. And that nigga was
He's
playing
gonna be in
that
a bunch
shit
of
too.
other movies too.
But he was playing that shit.
This is a star debut.
On God, he did a great job.
But
nigga can sing,
I'm telling you,
play that guitar. He did not let that guitar go.
No, he didn't. Oh, we never talked about that.
Oh man.
At the end, he comes into the church. He's bloodied from the aftermath of everything, the
Chose his
showdown.
own path, bro. Chose his own path.
And his father said, "Let go of the guitar. This thing that you're attached to,
devil work.
Devil work. And as long as you hold on to that, you are."
But I think that's an example.
But he made the decision.
To me, that was more overt. I think that's an example of how generational curses get broken. Is that yes, just because it was something that your parents did, or just because it was a system that you were indoctrinated into, doesn't mean that it's the right thing for you. You still have to go on your own path, and you still have to figure out what healing looks like for you. It's not always going to be the church. It's not always going to be, you know what I mean, the traditional means or what you've seen historically. You feel me? It's not always going to be what you have in your household. Sometimes you do have to branch out in order to find what's going to be working for you, because that's how you carry it on to the next generation and then open the door for other people to explore as well.
You got to walk your own path.
For sure.
With whatever risks that come with.
For sure.
You know, whatever fears that you have, you got to walk your own path. You can't live by somebody else, like
especially
by somebody else's rules and
for.
expectations, right?
That nigga Sammy was willing to die for that shit.
Mm-hmm.
And that shit saved his life too. If he didn't have that guitar, nigga, he would have been Clay. He would have been vampire too. He clocked that nigga. Shit was in the nigga's skull. Oh shit.
I was about to say, what material was that guitar? Like, did that shit
I thought that was a silver plate.
Okay.
Like it was wood, but that was a silver plate.
Okay. Because it looked like it was hurting Remington.
Yeah, that was tough. That shit was tough. I was like, wow.
It's a good movie. So I think the conversations I'm seeing a lot now as we wrap this up is that Ryan Coogler has cemented himself as one of those directors that if he makes a movie, that's appointment TV. Like that's appointment movie watching.
Ooh.
So I'm excited for any future projects. I mean, he's only directed 5 movies, but 4 out of 5 have slapped.
Give me 4 out of 5. You didn't like Black Panther 2? Yeah, me either.
Yeah, so I'm not gonna put it up with like Fruitvale Station and Creed and all that.
I definitely agree with you. I thought the second one was that.
But again, you under the conditions that they had to work with you know,
should have just recast.
That'd been tasteless. No, you can't do that immediately. I'm sorry. You gotta like relaunch the whole series then.
Should have just done that then.
Maybe
should have made Black Panther 2.0. Shuri was ass. Tell you that. She did a horrible job.
Hey man, this movie was amazing.
She's a great actress, but I don't think
I'll be back in the theaters to watch that very soon.
Yeah, this is a great movie. You should watch it.
Again, when's the last time you had a movie where we had to kick Eves off just to talk about it?
Hey bro, get your white friends and go watch that movie, man.